All right, so at this point in time, we have done some editing. You can see this is the original that I used last week. It is an unedited version, but I want to show you how we can do some things like add in some digital makeup, enhance eye color, and do some additions like perhaps you want to have some fun with a tattoo. So I'm going to give you those options, but the very first thing that we're going to do is we are going to work on giving her an airbrushed finish. So we're going to go ahead and sort of smooth out her skin tone. To do that, you need to add a new blank layer. That's this guy right here. It's that little folded post-it note. Looks like a little folded corner. You can also go into layer, new, and layer. Shift Control N. Okay, I can call this my mask. I'm going to call it mask 2 because I got a bunch of them in here. I've got my mask 2 layer. You can see there's nothing on that layer. I am coming over here. Here's a new tool for you. We've got a new tool called the eyedropper. You're going to want an eyedropper, kind of an average skin color for this woman. Not too light, not too dark. Okay? I'm going to come in with my brush. And at this stage, in my brushes, I would like to have a soft edged brush. I'm going to soften it up probably about 220-ish. And the beginning of the brush is somewhere around a 200. Okay? You can go a little bit bigger. It'll cover more space. But I like to go about there. That's 250. So what I'm going to do with that soft edged brush is I'm going to come in and I'm going to paint over some of these areas on her face. And she's going to look terrible right now. But notice I made it smaller. I'm going to go ahead and fill this in. I don't go over the edges. Notice I'm keeping those edges as clear and clean as possible. I'll show you how to fix them up if you do go over them a little bit. Okay, right now she looks like Mrs. Doubtfire, if anyone has seen that movie. I'm going to go a little bit bigger right there just so it gets really close to it. But I want a soft, fuzzy edge. And make sure I get those little marks right there. Okay, so right there, oops, sorry. Right there, if I turn my background layer off, you can see my mask. You can see what you missed. I missed this little part over here. I missed up here. That's probably pretty good. Notice anything that is missing is something that's more defined, and that's important, okay? You can also come back with your eraser. Again, a soft eraser. And you can clean up. Like if you went over the ear or something, you can clean that up, okay? So what you can do now is on mask 2 layer, you're going to go ahead and reduce the opacity. Opacity is how solid or transparent something is. This is obviously very solid. Looks like she's got a face mask on. I'm going to reduce this a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, and I'm going to continue to reduce it until I'm happy with it. Noticing if it's really low, it makes no impact. So let's say I'm happy with it, maybe right around there, for example. Okay? You can also come back in and add in another layer. Let's say you let's eyedropper this darker value in there. We can give her a little bit of contouring if you want. We'll go back into the brush on its own layer. We're going to go ahead in here, maybe contour a little bit in here, give her that shadowing on the side, build in a little cheekbone, whatever it might be. It looks like I gave her pork chops. But again, reduce that, and then you can come back in with an eraser to soften it up. Okay? Next thing, we're going to go ahead and add in some blush. Okay? Your blush, you're going to go ahead and pick something that's complementary to that person's skin tone. For example, I'm going to pick that pink color. We'll do that one, that's fine. Now on this one, I'm going to go with a large brush. Right there, and right there. It looks pretty silly. Until I come back with this eraser, and I clean up what's coming off the side of her face. And then clean up that side. Don't forget, undo if you do mess up. Like if you go like that, oh darn, Control Z, there we go, fix it up. Now, again, she looks pretty ridiculous until we reduce the opacity and we start to blend that down more. So again, we can give her just a slight hint of color on her cheeks. It can be a little stronger, a little weaker, just depends on what you're going for. Next, we're going to move towards lips. So I'm going to go ahead into lips. And in the lips, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start paintbrushing. I'm going to go ahead and let's give her, let's put some red in there, okay? I'm going to go ahead in here, and I'm going to make sure that brush is still soft, and then zoom in. Want to zoom in quite a bit so I can get right up to the edges. Notice that softness at the edge is very important because you don't want it to look like she's got like creepy wax lips. I'm going to make the brush smaller, use those bracket keys. Brush smaller, brush smaller. I'm going to show you two ways of doing this one, okay? Way number one, let me zoom back out. Way number one is a simple reduction in the opacity. Okay, so you can see we gave her a little bit more value onto her lips. The other way, and you can combine the two, if you like it, instead of leaving this on normal, you can do something like darken, like right there, you're giving her like you're getting a lot of those shadows being pulled through. That one looks pretty good. Multiply looks pretty good. Some of them will look ridiculous like this one. That's darker color. But on another value, on another person's skin tone, it might look wonderful. So you can see some of them look terrible. That one's not too bad as well. Okay. Now, if you notice that it still looks too put on, you can go and you can filter. I'm going to go to filter blur. And this little guy called Gaussian blur. Gaussian blur. Gaussian blur. If we go too much, it looks like, all right, let's see where are we at. If we, oh, sorry, silly me. Put it back to normal. Filter, blur, Gaussian. If we do it too much, it just looks like she's got really smudgy makeup. There we go. It looks like she's got very smudgy makeup. So you can see I had it at about a 5 or a 6, and it just softens that edge a little bit more. Let's say with this one, I'm going to reduce the opacity and just let that be like that, okay? Eye color. Again, new blank layer. Eyes. I can come in here, and this is going to be a little silly looking. First of all, I am going to pull my hardness level up now. I want a firm edged brush. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to make it bigger. I'm going to make sure it matches the size of her iris. So I'm going to zoom in. Let's say I want to bring out, oh my gosh, I love green. I really want my eyes to, sorry, let me close that out. Let me make sure that I get more of a green value in there. I'm going to go ahead and put that green in there. Oh, sorry. What's going on? There we go. Get that green value in there. Of course it looks ridiculous. It needs to be cleaned up. I'll clean it up in a minute. I'm going to come over here. Again, click on darkness and then just literally use my arrows to tab down until I get to one that I really like. And I want to say it was soft light that we had kind of agreed on earlier. Eraser. You can see it's a softer edged eraser. I'm going to come in. Oh. I'm going to come in. I'm going to erase the extra. And make sure that I don't have any of that green coming over or onto the white. You don't want any of that green on there. And so that's how we can get her with a more enhanced eye color. All right? Digital makeup. I do have some brushes in there. I will show them to you if you want them. Otherwise, you could very simply come in here, use your paintbrush, put some color on, and do kind of what, well, of course, it should be a much softer paintbrush than that. And then do sort of what we had done already with maybe adding a little bit. Maybe I'm going to erase a little bit. Maybe I just reduce the opacity in there so it has just a little bit of color there, a little hint of color. Okay? Now, as we get further in, we may decide to do something like with an add-on. I have add-on brushes. Let me show you where to find those. If we go to our brush, you're going to go to this drop arrow and this little cog wheel, okay? Inside there, we're going to load brushes. And inside of the P drive, I have, right now, it's in the teacher handouts, by the way. Teacher handouts, digital photo. Right now it's called new folder. I can't rename folders right now for some odd reason, so you kind of have to bear with it. It will be called brushes eventually. The new folder in there, the first one is tattoos, the second one is other digital makeup. If I go into here, I can load a brush. So let's say I want to put, I'm going to load these. I'm going to do this one. Okay. So I'm going to load that one. I'm going to say load. Give it a second. You should be able to scroll to the bottom and find that those items are loaded in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably go to a black color. I'm going to scroll to the bottom. Let me give her a, I don't know, some kind of bird. I think that's a bird. I'm going to put it on her neck. Now let's say I don't like the angle of that. I want to turn it more. I'm going to go ahead and go to my little brush cup here. I can also find that right here. I'm going to click it. I'm going to rotate this angle a little bit until I get exactly what I need for that to fit in there. Okay. Again, it should be on its own layer. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put that right there. Okay. Now to make it, for some people, for some of them, they might be a little bit light. So if you need to click it a couple of times, that's perfectly fine. You're then going to go in and erase. Like we obviously don't want to see it go onto her hair. That would be silly. You can do things like darken and work with some of those layer blend modes on there. Oh, I put it on the same layer as the eye color. See, don't do that. You can work with some of those in the layer blend mode. These are pretty light, I do have to say. Let me show you a different one really quick. There was some tribal pieces in there that have a little bit more opacity to them. Or maybe she's got like a neck tattoo. Let's do about half of it. Okay, if we put that there. Those are coming out really, oh, silly me. It's because of that. What am I doing, silly? Now it's fine. I had the opacity. That's why it was so light. So the opacity came down. You know, if she's real hardcore, maybe she's got an eye tattoo. Maybe we'll just put a little in the corner. Okay? But what you're going to do is you're going to work with it to get it to look real. For some of you, you're going to reduce the opacity a little bit so it looks like it has become part of the face. There's a bunch of different options in there, guys, you know. If you want to give her a tattooed mustache, go ahead. Okay? Those are all things that I want for you guys to be kind of playing around with. You can also push things into place. Right in here, you've got a smudge tool. Again, if we want to sort of slightly push this up a little bit, you can see I can slightly manipulate it. But again, if you push a lot, that's all it does. It stretches and it looks weird. So only a very light manipulation, you know, that sort of crinkling that up a little bit with the look of her eye. Okay? So again, maybe not the best tattoo for her, maybe not the best placement, but you got the idea in the general format for how to utilize. Just don't forget your brush cup and the importance of being able to use that. Being able to reduce your opacity, your layer blend modes, your opacity right here, blend modes, and keep your layers separated. That's it.